Well, hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes.
This is just our opportunity where we take some just space out of the week and reflect on the message and kind of go beyond what he was talking about, what Pastor was talking about, and just kind of how it relates so individually to our lives. So we are so grateful that you are joining us. We are excited to discuss this message together, and we are excited because Easter is on the way.
Easter is on the way.
Easter at Elevation.
Easter at Elevation, it is coming up. We are so excited. We will be celebrating Good Friday here at our Mississauga location at
7 p.m.
7 p.m. And then on Easter Sunday, we will be celebrating here again at our Mississauga location, 9:30 and 11:30 a.m. And then we're heading out to Whitby to celebrate for 5 p.m., 300 Water Street. We would love to see you there. Make sure you're inviting someone. Easter is a special time, and just like a great opportunity for someone
It's the best. I always
be
feel
at
like
church.
I feel like at Easter, I always meet all these new people because
Yes.
people are bringing their friends, their
Yeah.
family, and it's just a really great opportunity to kind of, I don't know, just celebrate Easter together and all that it means. And I don't know, what's your favorite thing about Easter?
So my favorite thing about Easter, it's one of my favorite holidays. So it ranges from mini eggs. I love mini eggs.
I love mini eggs.
But I also just love the time that we get to really focus on Jesus' life and what he literally walked through all the way up to the cross. So
I love that. And Elevation has made it super easy this year.
Yes.
And they've actually put out a devotional that we are all going to have access to starting this Sunday to just really prepare our hearts for what Jesus did and what it means. So it's called Welcome Resurrection.
Yeah.
I love that song, by the way. I've
Yes.
been having it on repeat. But it's on YouVersion, and it's just our chance to really put Jesus kind of at the focus even before we get to this very meaningful weekend of what is ahead.
yeah, so it will walk you through all the way from Palm Sunday throughout Holy Week right up to Easter Sunday. And it's going to be a great opportunity for you to just reflect on what you're believing in Jesus for and what you want to be welcomed.
What you want to welcome.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, well, let's dive into the sermon. The one who seeks finds. That was our message this past weekend from Pastor. And he took us to the story of Ruth. And if you want to follow along, it was Ruth 1:19, 2-12. And he showed us that whatever we were looking for, we will find it.
Yeah.
So if we are looking for reasons to be angry or disappointed or worried or negative or anxious, we will find it.
Oh yeah.
Very easily.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if we're looking for reasons to be joyful and peaceful, we can find that too.
Yeah.
And he talked about Ruth and how it was her responsibility to glean in the grieving. And God at this entire time positioned her to experience his favor.
Mm-hmm.
And gleaning, kind of what he talked about, doesn't mean that everything's going to be all good at one time. And you don't have to just feel good to be gleaning, but it is a choice that we make. And Pastor really challenged us to think about what is our mind focusing on? What are we looking for? What are we doing? And bitter is not a personality type.
No.
It's a decision.
Yep.
We have to glean to find the good, or else we can so easily get distracted. So let's watch this clip from Pastor, and then we can talk about it.
Yeah.
But when you put your mind on a mission to find misery, the devil will help you look. The devil is rubbing his hands. Oh, you want to feel bad. Oh, I'll help you harvest that. Oh, you want your feelings hurt. I will help you harvest hurt feelings. Oh, you want to be pissed off. I'll help you pick. Some of y'all got pissed off because I said the word pissed off. The one who seeks finds. Somebody else said, thank God he said it like that. That's real. That's real. I can relate to that. That's real. That's real. That's real. That's real.
That was so good. I feel like that resonated with me so much and really challenged me to think about all the times that I complain or grumble or get angry. So I want to talk to you, okay? I want you to get real for a second.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10,
Yep.
where do you feel like how often you complain?
Okay. So I feel like I'm at a 4.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that
You're a very optimistic person. I do feel like you are.
Yeah. So I think though that this is a muscle that I had to really work out. Like
Yeah.
it was not something that came naturally to me. It wasn't something that I just grew up knowing how to do. I wasn't always optimistic. I complained all the time. And so I went through a season where things were really challenging, and I had a lot of people being like, get a gratitude journal, challenge yourself to find 3 things throughout your day that you can be grateful for. And at first I was really forcing myself to do it, but then when I put that into practice, I think that's what shifted and helped that muscle kind of develop to be more grateful and not complain as much. But how about you?
Yeah, I feel like I'm more like a 6.
Okay.
I feel like 6 or 7. I feel like generally I'm a pretty positive person,
Yeah.
but something can go wrong in my day, and for me it's like, okay, that's gonna ruin my whole day.
Yeah.
Like I can so easily just like get stuck on that focus. So it's crazy because my word for this year is focus, and I've really since January really made those steps to like be intentional on what I'm putting my energy towards.
Yeah.
And when these things, because these things are gonna happen in our days, things are gonna happen that we don't plan for,
Yep.
that are unexpected, that disappoint us, that make us mad. But I've really tried to like call it myself like, no, like don't focus on that. Focus on like the good thing that is happening. And I think like having somebody in your life that can hold you accountable to that is really good. So
important.
Steven is really good at it
Yeah.
for me. Like he'll notice when I'm starting to be like really negative on something, he'll be like, no, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about something else. And I feel like you're really good at it too. Like you being so optimistic really, really brings me up. And I think it's important to have those people in your life that can do that.
Yeah.
And I also think like when you stop focusing on yourself so much and you stop really focusing on like everything that's coming at you, right? Because it says like it's not your circumstances, it's how you deal with it.
Yeah.
So whatever that I can do to get my mind off of myself. So whether that's reading or writing, or for me, I love horses and I love horseback riding, or going outside with my daughter and being in nature with her, like all these things to get me out of the thing that might be not so good into like another moment, and like really being present has made a really big impact for me.
Yeah. I love that point.
I mean, it's a journey.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's so many things that like we need to practically do, like because it's so easy to get stuck in the negative and the complaining. But Pastor even said it, like our mind is magnetic. So whatever we think about, that's more that we're gonna attract.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Ruth for a second. So let's transition here a little bit. So I said before, Ruth chose to glean when she was grieving. So she was able to find the good even in the midst of this situation. Can you kind of think about a time where God has challenged you in this?
So this past Sunday I felt like I was living out the sermon in real time. I had my grandmother pass away while we were in the worship experience, and it was hard because I had so many responsibilities and so many things that I still needed to do, and that
She was literally living the sermon
Literally
in
living
live
it.
time
Yes,
as it was going on.
yeah, it was like when you say I felt like this word was for me, I definitely
was
felt
for
like
you.
this word was for me. And so we had a lot going on. There was a lot that God had called me to and called me to be a part of, and I couldn't just walk away from that even though I was grieving. And so one of the things that I felt like God kind of blessed me with was the opportunity to see one of my best friends, Olivia, be baptized.
It was
And
amazing.
It was,
Shout out Olivia.
Yes, shout out
Congrats.
Olivia. It was just such an honor, and I felt like God saying like, this is my gift to you in this moment. But I would have let that just kind of pass by me if I kept grieving and just sat in it and said, well, this is my circumstance and this is what I'm gonna do. But I really felt like I was gleaning in the grieving.
And I think you were able to do that. Like it just shows God's strength in you because it wasn't like your kind of natural part might be to like retreat, right? And like be sad. But you even said to me like, no, like I want to be at church. I want to be here. I want to be in the presence of God. I want to be around people that are going to bring me up. Why let that misery overtake? And it doesn't mean that what happened wasn't sad or awful. It still was. And you're allowed to be sad. But I think putting yourself where you did showed strength, showed resiliency, and God was able to allow you to experience his presence and his blessings through all the people we saw baptized this past weekend, through meeting new people at our Whitby location. So I don't know. It's pretty amazing that you were living the sermon as we were going.
It really was.
I think for me, like when God provided for me in a challenging time and where I had to really I really had to glean from this was like during the pandemic. Like we saw a lot of people. Well, obviously our church was shut down, and we had to really focus on like what we did have, which was like an incredible online experience. We really tried to reach out to our online community and keep people connected, and God always provided. He always provided the right people to help us. He provided people to come alongside us and support like the vision that we had. And now, I don't know, it's just amazing to see the growth that even though we were shut down for 2 years, like we've seen more people across Canada get connected to us. And that's what I choose to focus on. Maybe not the fact that we had to close down and that everything had to change. So that was it for me. So he also talked about how coincidence is God in disguise. I have that in my notes. That was like a really powerful moment for me. When have you kind of seen a coincidence in your life and now looking back, you know it was God?
So again, my best friend Olivia, we met on TikTok, and I was
bringing people together.
But I had been praying for a long time. My other best friend's name is also Olivia, and she lives in Finland. And I was praying for so long. I was like, God, I need a friend who is of the faith and is willing to do this walk with me, but like here in person, because it's hard when you're so far from your friends. And we met, and one day we were hanging out, we were talking, and I shared with her this vision that I had for a name that kept coming up in my life. And she was like, no way, because she had written down that name too. And we looked back at our notes, and the day that I wrote down that vision from God was the day of her birthday.
Oh, wow.
And we didn't know each other then. And I said in the moment, I was like, what a weird coincidence.
That is
like
so weird.
That's such a weird coincidence. And now looking back, and even in that moment, we reflected on it. And we're like, that's so God. Like, it was just like a really cool moment that wasn't a coincidence. It was just God in a costume.
Yeah, I love that. And there's so many moments in my life that I can think about. But I think like a big one for me, some of you might know this story, was when I met Stephen at Elevation. I just wanted to join an e-group, and the first person that I wanted to ask, like a volunteer, was actually his aunt. And his aunt was like, yeah, like we have e-groups here, let me introduce you to my nephew, and like brought me straight to Stephen. And that, like, I remember meeting him for that first time, and like I could feel that there was something like strange going on. Like he was a little bit nervous, I was a little bit too excited to be joining an e-group, jumping up and down in his face and everything. But it's just pretty cool because it was like in that moment, like you would think it was coincidence that she could have picked any other e-group. There was a lot of other e-groups at the time, a lot of everybody welcome e-groups, but she brought me and introduced me to him, and that obviously started us talking a little bit more. That started me getting plugged in more at Elevation, and then ultimately starting to date him and then get married, and now to have our little girl and to raise her in church. So it's just pretty cool because you don't know these coincidences in the moment. Like that could have been nothing. But now looking back on it, I can see like, wow, like God clearly had a plan, and it was clearly like our time to meet. So just my little story about that.
Every time I hear that story, I love that story.
So Pastor kind of talked about, again, the one who seeks finds. So Felicia, like what is one thing that you are like intentionally seeking this week?
So love. When Pastor was talking about like what we seek, we find. And I think that a lot of times, and Pastor mentioned this too, we end up self-sabotaging and like anticipating that someone's going to reject us, or that they are going to just leave. And so there was actually a quote that Pastor said. He said, a lot of us aren't looking for love in our interactions with others. We're just looking for the other person to leave. And I was like, no, I am going to be intentional about looking for love in my interactions this week, whether it be with my friends or my family or whoever it may be. I'm going to be intentional about looking for the love and not looking for anything else other than love in those interactions.
That's so good. I think that's really important. For me, it's peace. I kind of shared, like, I feel like I can worry a lot. I've had lots of worries in my life, especially becoming a new mom. There were so many moments where I was like worried to drive alone with her, or just all these new mom things. And I feel like what I've been trying to do and what I want to be intentional, especially now going up to Easter, is to look for peace. Look for all the times that God has not done my worry. So all the times that things have turned out better than I thought, and to really write those down, to really focus on those, and to just seek those quiet moments. So seek those moments where I see her like playing in the grass, and to just enjoy that. Not looking ahead to maybe, okay, what am I worried about? What do I have to do tomorrow? What's coming up? But just being okay with what's going on in the moment. And again, I want to be peaceful for the people around me. So making sure that I'm being very present with my friends and my family, and just being able to give of myself and pour into them, and look for the peace in that. Look for the peace in helping others and being there for them. So that's what I'm seeking for and hoping to find more of, peace. So I'd love to know in the chat, what are you looking for? What can we be praying for you about that you are going to seek and you're going to find? Because again, it has so much power when we put that like energy and intentionality into it. So
absolutely.
Thanks for joining us here today. We love talking about the sermons with you, and we will see you on Easter at Elevation. Pick one of those worship experiences times, bring a friend, and we will see you soon.